This is 91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester, Massachusetts, the Dr.Chris Radio Horror program. And tonight on Radio Horror, we have a very distinguished actress on the show, an actress whose career I followed off and on throughout the years, but a lot of people might know her best as playing Alice, one of the few surviving heroines from A Nightmare on Elm Street. She was in part 4 and 5 and lives beyond part 5 to this very day. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Lisa Wilcox.
Well, hello. Good evening.
I appreciate you coming on the show very, very much.
Well, thank you for having me. Absolutely.
Your character is one of my favorite characters from the Nightmare series, but Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 was one of the first horror movies and it was the first of the Nightmare films I ever watched as a kid.
Oh, fantastic. Yay.
So it holds a very special place in my heart. It was on TV. It was edited, of course.
Yes.
But it was on TV rather quickly. I think we had HBO. Yeah, that's right. We did have HBO. And it was on HBO. And my mom was like, I will watch this with you guys.
Mom watched with?
Yes.
Ooh, cool mom. I want to meet this mama.
So, but I remember there had been like an interview with Robert on Good Morning America the year before, which I was like, who is that? Because my parents always watched Good Morning America, and my mom was like, oh, that's the guy who plays the burnt man with the gloved hand, whatever his name is.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, your film was one of the first ones I ever watched, and then
Thank you.
And then I was like really surprised years later when I saw you on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, the TV series.
Oh, you saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Yay.
Oh yeah, that was a great show when I was 12 years old. I was like, this is so cool. There's a Bill and Ted TV show.
I know, and we only went one season. We filmed in Vancouver. Which, what a fantastic city that is. And oh God, we had so much fun. Don Lake, is in it. He went in to do a ton of stuff, but, yeah, it was very fun to play the Missy Preston character for sure. Cause we all know how important lunch is. That's my favorite line from that show. As her husband runs home at lunchtime to, do the,
I really wish, I don't know if you heard this, but Shout Factory Scream Factory is putting out Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey on a double disc Blu-ray with like the phone booth, and you open the phone booth, Rufus is going to be inside. It played by George Carlin. I'm hoping maybe they'll get the TV series.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, I'm hoping they'll get the TV series, and then you'll have the TV series finally out there.
Well, yes, please. Yes, please. It was really cute. I mean, it really was adorable. So maybe we'll see.
Do you get a lot of that Bill and Ted stuff? I mean, I know you probably get the Alice fans a lot more, but do you ever get the Bill and Ted fans like at conventions?
I actually do. I get Bill and Ted fans, and also I did a movie called Gimme an F, which was a classic TNA 1980s film. It's interesting, some of these things that I did a long time ago, they kind of pop up out of the woodwork, for sure.
Is there anything you ever get, like, at a convention fan to sign, you'll sign it because, they're polite, they're nice, hopefully they're very polite and nice, but you're just, like, in the back of your head, you just want to be like, I'm not fucking signing that, get that away from me.
No.
Come on, there's got to be one thing. There's not even one? No?
But guess what? You say that, and I'm doing Monster Mania in New Jersey this coming week, actually.
Oh, cool.
And so there'll be something that comes to my table for the first time, and I'll be like, oh my God, I don't want to sign that. But I will say, so far, not yet. I've had to do some interesting signings, like folks who get tattoos.
Oh, yeah.
I have signed arms, backs, and legs for a tattoo. Which is so cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Alice is like, I'll probably get shot by this by Nightmare fans, but I'll put Alice above Heather because Alice lived and Heather died.
Well, that's very interesting because I've been doing the auto conventions for quite a number of years now, actually.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean Heather. That's the actress. I meant Nancy.
No.
Excuse the hell out of me.
Nancy, got it. Understood.
Yeah. All right.
But I finally realized it kind of like a little big light bulb went off in my head. I went, You know what my logo is? My logo is Alice Lives. So I actually had some lapel pins made, and I'm actually going to be giving them away with autographs at the next upcoming shows, and they're even available on my website too. And I'm really happy how it turned out, because it's like the background is red, like blood,
Uh-huh.
right? And then Alice Lives is in big white letters, because that's the light, okay? And then it's framed with green. Hello. So anyway, I'm very excited about my new little pin.
Your website being www.lisawilcox.com, correct?
LisaEWilcox.com.
Lisa. Okay, so there's a Lisa Wilcox website. That's not yours?
That's also my website. However, I did a new one, Lisa E. Wilcox, and that's where it's the most current, up-to-date stuff.
Okay, so if you want to check out everything Lisa's been doing, other than just going to IMDb and clicking on links for movies, you can go to Lisa E. Wilcox.
Lisa E. Wilcox. Yes.
Okay, all right. That does look. Wow, that's a much more spiffier looking website. It's got a big picture of you, and the other one looks fine too. But I can see how this is a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, the old one, unfortunately, the guy who made it for me years ago, I've lost touch with him. I don't know what happened to him, and so I'm like, well, I guess I'll just start from scratch, But it's okay, because I really am very happy with the new one. My friend did it, and I think she did a great job.
I love this one picture, which I didn't notice before. You all done up in bondage rope? What is that about?
Okay, yes, no, that's a very good question. That was I did that for a magazine called Femme Fatale.
Oh.
And it was the 10-year anniversary issue. The magazine is no longer being made, but I think they still have a website, Femme Fatale. And so I'm on the cover. Howard Bolt, who is a very well-known photographer actually for horror, did the photo shoot. And oh my gosh, he took some amazing shots. And in fact, that one picture with me in bondage, well, it's not bondage, and I'm in horse rope. Okay?
Oh, right. Okay.
A woman who knows
We're not here to judge.
Tied us up, because the cover is 3 of us tied up. And
oh,
then there was
my.
Of me. But Howard actually took that individual picture around. It went on a tour, because he did a whole photography showing around the country and Canada.
Uh-huh.
And he had that photo with this beautiful frame and everything, and he actually gave it to me when he was done with the tour. So yes, so that was just that's not from a film, it's just a photo shoot. But
oh, okay. I was like, what is this film? Must go find.
Yes, Gus must find film. Yes, well, the picture itself does kind of indicate a movie, doesn't it?
50 Shades of Grey in hell.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
And I hate using 50 Shades of Grey to try and define what bondage is. But if you say like BDSM, sometimes people just don't get it. And I have to say 50 Shades of Grey, and they're like, oh, and I'm just like, But I don't judge, because hey, we're all into something weird. It's all right.
Oh God. Well, actually, I really do like that, because on my website I just number the pictures, like number one.
Oh yeah.
2, 3. But maybe, and I've thought of doing titles for each shot. So maybe I'll do like 49 Shades of Grey for that one.
49 Shades of Grey?
Well, I probably can't really call it 50 Shades of Grey. Like, isn't that like an owned name or something? So I get it.
Oh, okay. All right. No, I got you now. Yeah. No, I
49 Shades of Grey. Hello, wake up. Hello.
All right. Now I'm just a little. I just haven't had my coffee yet, but I will order a print. I might order that one, but I'm also partial to number 5 too. I think you look absolutely beautiful in number 5.
Oh, well, thank you. They let me wear makeup. Ellis got to wear some little makeup. Wow, it was pretty sweet. And the rinse that they put on my hair for Nightmare 4, because I was a virgin blonde, and they put that red rinse on my hair, and it wasn't a permanent dye, but it actually did end up permanently dyeing my hair. I mean, think about it. You put color on white, it's going to stain it, right?
Yep.
So then the next year we filmed Nightmare 5, but my hair had a chance to recuperate a little bit, so they let me be that more of a blonde, I guess you could say, in Nightmare 5. But thank you. Yeah, it was Nightmare 4 and 5 are So different. Such different films.
Oh my god! I mean, I just got done. I need to. There's a great YouTube reviewer called Decker Shadow. He's doing the Summer of Freddy vs. Jason, so he's doing a review of every single one of those movies.
Oh, okay.
And he just did part 5, so you got to check out his stuff and watch his reviews of 4 and 5. It's goddamn funny.
What's the website?
It's on YouTube. His name's Decker Shadow.
Decker Shadow. Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah. And then your interview, for, again, anyone who's tuning in right now, wants to re-listen, or who's only catching it in the middle of it, or you're missing the interview, Lisa's interview will be up on Radio of Horror's YouTube page in a slideshow in about a week or two after it airs on Radio of Horror's YouTube page. So please check it out there on Radio of Horror on YouTube.
Cool.
But yeah, when I was watching the reviews for those, because I've seen the films a bunch of times, and then the reviews came up. I was like, oh, well, this would be great for Lisa's interview. I was like looking at them and going, wow, those are two completely different styles of movie. One is a 80s music video, and the other is kind of a comedy. I don't know.
It's kind of a comedy, but it's definitely darker. I mean, the lighting is darker. The subject matter is darker. We're dealing with concepts like rape, for heaven's sakes. I mean, we see, quote, Amanda, but Alice in the room with the thousand maniacs. You know, when she gets locked in there. Okay, then we're talking about dealing with, gee, Alice is pregnant. Abortion? Is she going to give the child up for adoption? Is she going to let Dan's parents take care of this, this child? Because, so we're dealing with teen pregnancy. We're dealing with, drinking and driving. I mean, look at Dan in the truck, Yeah. So it's definitely, the subject matter is quite different than Nightmare 4, for sure. Nightmare 4 is like, the MTV version of the series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it was totally a date movie. I mean, you could take a date to Nightmare 4.
Oh yeah, and you guys kind of do that. You and Dan have the date in the movie theater with the popcorn. And you guys all like, hey, let's be a couple. And then you're like, no, we gotta go on a Groundhog Day style thing to save our friend.
I know, right? I know. That scene freaks people out. The repetition of it. It's like I hear a lot of people say it's one of their favorite concepts in Nightmare 4.
Now, there's a lot of the criticism towards Nightmare 5 has to do, I think, a lot with the editing, which, again, you watch, for example, the aforementioned YouTuber I mentioned, he points out that I think the editing in Nightmare 5, in my opinion, being a filmmaker, I can kind of see how it's kind of choppy at times, and I'm like, is that the MPAA? Did they cause that editing that way? Do you have any insight into that? I know your job's kind of done after you get done wrapping filming, but
perhaps editing, perhaps it was subject matter, perhaps it was, Nightmare 4 was unique in that you really had a character arc with Alice.
Yeah.
And other characters as well that were really fully developed. I mean, how interesting probably to see a character go from such a shy, wallflower to kicking ass, and you get to see that evolution. And in Nightmare 5, Alice has other battles, like her child and that kind of thing. So there isn't so much character arc, as much as 4. I don't know. I don't know if it's this script editing. I don't know why, but I know the box office was definitely not as great for 5, but I'm still really proud of the work I did in Nightmare 5. I am. So.
I think the characters were good. I did like all of the characters. Shockingly enough, it has the smallest body count of any of the Nightmare movies.
Does it? I didn't know that.
You're the girl who's trying to look pretty for her parents, your geeky guy friend who does the comic books.
Yeah, they get chopped.
And Dan.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Dan dying in 5 reminds me of if you remember in Aliens and in Alien 3, it's like you do so much to try and save Newt in Aliens, or Sigourney Weaver saves Newt in Aliens from the Queen, just for her to get killed on re-entry in Alien 3 is kind of like Dan being saved from getting killed by Freddy in 4. Just to have it happen in 5 is kind of like, what? Why?
I know.
And everyone else you could have killed off.
Yeah.
At least let him live to the end of the movie, then kill him off.
I so agree. I think it would have been interesting to maybe see Alice and Dan fighting Freddy together more throughout the film, you know? But I don't know. You know, Nightmare 5 had some really, I mean, the sets were freaking amazing, you know? Stephen Hopkins, who directed it, he's an amazing artist himself. He actually did himself all the storyboards. Because before the movie begins in pre-production, art department, or in this case the director too, will do the storyboards, which are sketches of basically each scene and parts of each scene that you want to see happening in the film. And Steven did his very own sketches. So he was really pretty amazing in that art, you know, that art way.
There's what's the name of that style of artist that draws like upside down 3-dimensional images?
Escher.
Yes, that's what happens in part 5, which I think is beautiful.
Yes, the Escher effects.
Yeah, you know, again, I think the movie, I thought the plot was pretty okay. I mean, got to come up with a new way for Freddy to come back to life. I thought his like weird left giant arm when he's like, "It's a boy," that was kind of silly. But I thought the characters, I thought the plot, of course, I thought you were fine. You know, the kid who plays little Jacob, that was perfect as well. Again, my only problem has ever just been with the editing. As I grew older, I was always kind of like, this has got to be an MPAA thing. This can't be on the filmmaker. And that's the same thing that happened with like part 6 of the Friday the 13th movies.
There was a lot of, I remember when Nightmare 5 came out, there were like actually picketers in Westwood where the movie, one of the theaters where it was playing, because it was like about the violence in Nightmare 5.
Yeah.
So it definitely had to go through some chopping because of, you know, just too much was shown. So it probably affected the quality of the end product.
Now,
but yeah, it was very interesting when I read about these picketers happening in Nightmare 5, and I told one of the producers, he's like, that's good. That'll bring this good publicity. Another interesting thing is that actually Robert Englund, Freddy, he makes the least amount of appearances in Nightmare 5 compared to any other of the movies.
Yeah, I noticed that too. That's so weird. Least death, least amount of Robert Englund.
Yeah, and I mean,
the most jokes.
Story. Yeah, it was just the way the story was written, but yeah, I mean, I've learned that too.
For all the jokes that are in Nightmare 5, they're not nearly as bad as like Nightmare Part 6, which the Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, was just a nonstop Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah, No comment.
No comment. You're not in that one. You can't comment on it.
Yeah, I can't. Nope, can't comment.
Now, did you ever learn, and I posted this on Facebook, by the way, after you posted your little pin, did you ever learn of the fate of Alice later on?
We never know.
No,
and many people have, you know, attempted scripts, you know, about where's Alice and Jacob now, and what would have become of them. I get asked that question too on panels.
Freddy versus Jason versus Ash. Do you know who Ash is?
No.
Ash is from the Evil Dead movies. He's on the Ash versus Evil Dead on Starz, starring Bruce Campbell.
Okay.
In the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash was a potential sequel to Freddy versus Jason, and they turned it into a comic book after they decided not to turn it into a movie. They obviously went into the remake route of both Freddy and Jason years later. But at one point, we were supposed to get Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, and in it, Ash unites with all of the living members of the different franchises.
Oh, okay.
And what ended up happening was...
Yes.
Hold on, sorry. Sure. The audio started going. So he teams up with Corey Feldman's character from Part 4 of the Friday the 13th, and whoever else lived throughout the series. I can't think of the names off the top of my head. But you're there. Alice is there, and Jacob's is much older. He's now in his 20s, and you get killed off by Jason almost immediately.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, and Freddy's daughter betrays the group to go along with her father.
Oh my gosh.
In a really kind of gross Game of Thrones kind of way. Really? And I was like, who wrote this?
I I will have to check this out. But okay, so that's the comic book.
That's the comic book, and that's what was supposed to have been the movie Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. Now, again, it never materialized. They made a sequel, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash 2, Nightmare Warriors, and like Freddy gets the Necronomicon, restores Jason's body to like not a walking corpse anymore, takes control of the United States, and then Ash. Yeah, and then Ash gets the Necronomicon back from Freddy, and then uses it to open.
You're not talking about Donald Trump?
No, yeah, it was funny, huh? He takes the Necronomicon and then goes through a time portal because the world is now erupted in chaos. He defeats Freddy, but the world is just in hell because of what happened with Freddy taking over. He got ultimate power. He takes the Necronomicon, goes through a time portal. He goes back in time to Springwood and gets the evidence to implicate Freddy Krueger before he's burned, and it imprisons Freddy for those child murders.
Wow.
And then he goes to Crystal Lake and becomes a camp counselor in the 50s in order to stop Jason from drowning.
Wow. So there's time travel?
It's in the last couple pages, yeah. Basically,
there's time travel. Oh my God, we have Bill and Ted and Nightmare on Elm Street, like all combined together, and Friday the 13th. Wow. Okay, cool. We'll check it out.
If you heard about this, is a Friday the 13th, the video game. If it does well, and the Kickstarter has been like amazing. I mean, people have been like dying to play this Friday the 13th game. The big question everyone was asking was, if the Friday the 13th game does well, can we finally see a Nightmare on Elm Street game with like potential, cameos by different people? And someone shouted out your name and of course Heather's name, and they said what a great opportunity for Robert to play Freddy again, but not have to worry about putting on all the makeup.
Oh my gosh, that would be absolutely fantastic. Oh my gosh, yes, that would be great. The only game I ever saw, and I'm trying to think where I was, there's a Nightmare on Elm Street pinball machine.
Yes.
And yes, and it was at a convention, and they asked me to sign it, which of course I did gladly. How fun! But it was sweet. But gosh, to have a video game, that would be. You know what? Why couldn't that happen? Why not? Do a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you got the right development team behind it. The thing is, though, with the Friday the 13th game, they weren't going to make a Friday the 13th game. They were calling it, like, some ridiculously long title, and it was going to be an homage to Friday the 13th with a serial killer that didn't have a hockey mask. And they got Harry Manfredi, who's the music composer for Friday the 13th.
I know Harry. Yeah.
He started writing their music, and he ran into Sean Cunningham at a convention, and they got to talking. He's like, well, what are you working on these days? I'm working on some video game that's pretty much a ripoff of Friday the 13th, but it's not Friday the 13th. And he's like, really? Who are these guys? And he called up the studio and said, hey, it's Sean Cunningham. I got a question. How would you like, don't worry about any money, but how would you like to license the Friday the 13th?
Really?
And they were like, you're lying.
Well.
He almost hung up the phone on him and said, you're a liar. Get off my phone. I don't know who you are. But he talked it over with his partners. One giant Kickstarter success later. Yep. Tom Savini and all these other people who were involved in Friday the 13th involved in it. The question that keeps being brought up to them because they were so successful making this game, Gun Media is the name of the company. When is there going to be a Nightmare on Elm Street game?
All right. Well, I bet we can anticipate that will be coming around. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What are you working on right now?
I have a few projects, actually. I'm going to be filming in New York in October. I can't talk about too much because we just can't, because we have to sign non-disclosures and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But I play a very interesting character. Off the beaten path, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll come to me. But anyway, I'll be smoking a cigar in that one.
Okay.
So just FYI. And there's Red Hollow is a project I'll be doing in Canada. Presley Parish involved with that. Another one called Mystery Spot, which will be filmed in Texas. And that one is with Melhouse, who I actually did another project with called In the Blood. It used to be called Imago, and now it's called In the Blood, which will be released soon. Did a film with Bill Moseley, The Church in Pittsburgh, and that will be released. The trailer is going to be released very shortly as well. But I have actually about 6 6 films on the calendar going into next year.
That's good.
So I'm really very excited. I'm doing a pilot presentation for a show, which I can't talk about. There's a lot going on because I was out of acting for quite a number of years, and
yeah, I was going to ask about that. You were in like a Brady Bunch movie, and then an Academy Award movie.
Yeah. Oh, The All New Adventures of Chastity Blade. Yeah, I was nominated for an Academy Award, a student foreign film. Still absolutely love that project. In fact, I'm seeing the writer and director, Julian Magnat, who's just an amazing filmmaker, and also did all the cartoons for Garfield, by the way, Julian Magnat. Anyway, I'm seeing him Tuesday night, actually. So, but yeah, so I decided that, what the hell, at my age, I decided to go back into acting full time, and hence, the whole, territory has changed as far as when I started acting and what it is now because of social media too,
Mm-hmm.
So, hired a PR firm, get my Twitter going, more active on Facebook, get an Instagram account, and get it out there that, hey, I'm back at it, and it's been tremendous. I mean, it's amazing the offers and projects that come through just through messaging and podcasts like you guys, just through Facebook even and Twitter as well. So just getting reacclimated to the new terrain, and it's been great, and I have no regrets. So a lot of autograph shows. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I got a full thing. Oh, another movie I'm going to be doing is called The Possessed, and that'll be in Shreveport, Louisiana. So that'll be, it's probably going to be the end of this month. So yeah, lots coming up, and I can't wait though for it to be released so you guys have something new to see me in, So.
Is it really hard to get back into it after because you were gone for 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Can we ask what happened, what you were doing? Did you decide to become a mom? I mean, what was...
Yeah, well, I had my kids and raising them. I had a business for a while with Tuesday Night, who played Kristen in Nightmare 4.
Yep.
Called Toe Bright, so we did that for a while. And then I was in a literally completely different corporate world for 5 years. And then I realized it wasn't suited for me. And I went, I'm going to go back into acting. And I'm glad I have, and I'm here to stay. Let's put it that way.
Is it easy to get back into it? I mean, did you just call your old agent up and say, "Hey, I want to return to this craziness called Hollywood"?
Well, it's interesting because I always had my agent, because even when I was in corporate world, I would get offers, and it would just be 5 days of filming or do this, that, and the other. So I would take vacation days and go film, come back and do my corporate job. And then, so when I told her, but she couldn't submit me for TV. I couldn't go on auditions because I was working. I was doing the corporate thing. So when I let her know, hey, Kate, I'm going back into acting full time. You can submit me. She was very, very excited. I have a management group now as well. In fact, Andras Jones, who plays Rick, my brother in Nightmare 4. He's actually my manager.
Oh, cool.
He's my manager at a company called Bohemia, which has been around for years.
Well, you tell him we'd love to have him on the show too, because he was pretty awesome till he got killed off.
You got it. I'm going to see him at Monster Mania next week, so I will totally let him know.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, but it was funny when I met with Kate in person. I said, okay, so how many 8x10s do you need? And she laughs and she's like, Lisa, I haven't needed a hard copy 8x10 in 3 years. I'm like, okay, because everything's done electronically. In the old days, literally, you had messengers, stopping by agents and getting them to the casting offices and this, that, and the other.
Yep.
We would go to the locked mailbox to pick up scripts at our agency, at 9 o'clock at night. No, everything is, via online, everything. So it's definitely changed. And, of course, the social media aspect, too. That's a whole other thing because, they actually will look at how many followers you have and how many likes you have. And, it's like a popularity contest.
Tell me about it.
It's really kind of weird. I don't know. And at first I was really resistant, but I've learned I must just accept and it's just what it is now, And actually, I really am enjoying the Twitter and Facebook and having content and putting it up. And it certainly allows a lot more interaction with all the supporters and fans out there, too. So I've acclimated.
it's kind of like one of those things when you want to ask somebody to come on the show. It's the same thing, Like I've been doing this since 2007, but my social media is kind of not exactly up there, and it's probably my own fault due to not like following up on social media up as well as I have, or doing it alone a lot. I've had random co-hosts here and there. And, there are people that have been around less time than I have that have, like, just blown up. And you're like, what am I doing wrong? What did I fuck up doing that I'm still just not doing anything, with the show or anything like that? Who knows what it could be? And it really kicks me in the ass sometimes thinking about it.
Yeah.
One thing, I don't own my own site domain for radiohorror.wordpress.com, something I've got to change. That's probably a big thing right there, just due to number of clicks and visits to the site I could get money off of and things like that.
Yeah.
Ad revenue, basically. And when you're going through films that you love, and you're like, hey, I wonder if this person's still around and what they're doing. Like Lisa Wilcox, I wonder if she'll come on the show. Let's just send her an email. Let's find out if she's even alive. Let's find out if she's even in the country. You never know.
I know. Well, it was all about, I created seriously a business plan of everything I needed to do to get launched again, including the new website, including the social media aspect, including contacting my agent. Should I get a manager? Yeah, I probably should. When I first started in this business, I had a manager, and he's the one who got me set up with a great agency. And managers really help, because agents just don't have time, that personal touch where like a manager does. Just there were so many elements to get launched, but I feel like really I came back probably January this year, and hey, it's working. But, there's these boost things you can do on Facebook. You can buy friends and all that. And I don't know. I hired a PR company to help me. And their whole thing is always like, we need content. We need more content. So I'm always coming up with ideas for content. And darn, I was on Hollywood Boulevard today, in fact. Have you been to Hollywood Boulevard?
No, I've never pretty much left the East Coast.
Okay, well, where the Chinese theater is, I mean, it's seriously packed. I mean, rows and rows of people, and there's characters out on the sidewalk walking around, and you get your picture taken with the quote Marilyn Monroe or with Chewbacca or whatever. So it's driving down Hollywood Boulevard, and there was a Freddy character. There was a guy dressed as Freddy getting his picture taken with people on the sidewalk.
That's so cool.
And it's like buskers, these characters that go around, and they get, I guess people give them $1 if you take a picture with them or whatever. But I was so excited to see. Actually, had no idea there's a guy who on the weekends does Freddy Krueger at the Chinese theater. And I'm like, dang, that picture would have been great to put up on my Instagram. Anyway, I'll go back another weekend and I'll get a picture with him.
That's kind of like the guy who was impersonating Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Terminator walking around, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger decided to do it that same day.
There's Spider-Man, and there were a couple Spider-Mans, and it's really a hoot. Well, you're gonna have to come out to Hollywood sometime. You love movies. You got to come out to Hollywood.
Yeah, right now it's not so great. I just lost my second job, so.
Shoot.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe something I'm working on will take me out there as a guest. I have a comic book coming out this October, and it's a small comic book prequel to a much larger project. We take the entire story of Dracula and we gender swap the whole cast.
Ooh, fun.
So maybe
Very
I'll get
good.
booked as a guest with my artist, and I'll be out in California. I'll give you a call and be like, hey, I'm in California finally. Come to my convention. Come to me as a guest.
For sure. Like that. Yeah.
That's my pipe dream, to get booked as a guest for my own project. That would be really cool,
Well, just persistency. Consistency and persistency,
Yeah, definitely. So I'm trying to keep my head above water. I got my own Boston Comic-Con coming up this weekend, so we'll see what the future holds. Unemployment sucks, but it's it gives you time to try and get your own projects into perspective too.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Did there was a few so this is 2006. So 5 years ago, there was a Nightmare documentary that came out. Did that really help bring you back into the light of fans and stuff?
Yeah, it did. Never Sleep Again.
Because you're in two parts of that documentary.
I think it did. and I had a lot of time to talk on that because they did do 2 of the films, but it was really interesting because Tommy Hudson and Heather Langenkamp were involved with getting that made, and Tommy gave me a copy of the finished product, and I'm like, well, I'll just pop this in. It was about 10 o'clock at night. 4 hours later, I was completely glued to the screen because they managed to find so many, actors that did one line, were leads, and there were so many factual things I didn't know. I was absolutely fascinated with Never Sleep Again. So I'm just telling you guys out there, seriously, you haven't checked it out, check it out. If you're into the Nightmare on Elm Street series, it is so worth it. Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Do you
Very thorough.
No, there's a great question that Alicia. I don't know if you've ever met Felicia Rose from Sleepaway Camp.
I think I've met her at an autograph show. But go ahead.
There's a question that was.
I actually know who she is.
There was a question that gets asked to her a lot. Like, do you ever get tired of being known as like this? The chick with the dick at the end of Sleepaway Camp. She was the transgender serial killer. It wasn't really her. It was her head posed on some like 18-year-old guy's body and stuff like that. But that's her famous thing. At the end of the movie, you find out this girl Angela is this guy and the killer, and his entire naked body is shown on screen. That's a big famous moment for her. And do you get tired ever being pointed out about that? Does it make you feel uncomfortable? And she's like, the day that stops happening is the day I will go into just be really depressed and cry, because that is what I'm really known for. I'm so happy that this thing in horror, I'm forever known for it. Do you feel the same way about Alice and Nightmare on Elm Street? Because you've done other things like I Love You in as we talked about Bill and Ted, but Alice is your big thing. Are you? Yeah,
it's mostly Utah and Star Trek Next Generation. That one also is generated for years and years now. Oh gosh, no! I'm thrilled that Alice is still alive and well in people's hearts and minds, and there's now generations that have watched this series. It shows have grandma, her daughter, and then the granddaughter. Okay, we have 3 generations there that have been watching the series, because we're coming up on almost 30 years since Nightmare 4 came out, and God, I had no idea it would have this longevity. And of course, I'm thrilled. I'm totally thrilled. So, yes, of course, I'm hoping, and now that I'm back to acting, that there'll be some new things that come out that I'll be remembered for as well. But hey, in the meantime, I have cheers to Alice. I have no problem.
Between the 2 films, what was the most difficult thing you had to do? Like, you have an underwater scene in Part 5, but in Part 4, you do a lot of like a massive amount of extracurricular activity and in that movie, to the point you're like Batman.
Well, yeah, Nightmare 5, I had a body double.
Okay.
So I didn't have to do anything underwater. I mean, I had to do up to my chin.
Okay.
But I didn't have to do any of the underwater. I would have drowned, first of all, because I'm not a real water person.
Oh my,
so
yeah.
That was a block.
That would have been terrible.
In 5, the hardest thing, most probably interesting thing was wearing the Freddy makeup for, 12 hours, 12 minutes, and 5 seconds. In other words, I couldn't wait to get it off, because it's pretty freaky to be Freddy for a day with that makeup. So that was probably the most interesting, difficult, I guess you could say, doing that. In Nightmare 4, funny enough, is probably the most annoying thing was getting that rinse put on my hair every day, sitting in the makeup chair, 2 hairstylists putting this rinse on my hair with 2 blow dryers going on my hair to dry my hair for an hour. That was because I really don't have much makeup on Nightmare 4, but the hair process, oh my gosh, as far as logistically in Nightmare 4, doing the karate stuff and all that, I mean, that was fun. That stuff is fun. They sent me and Andras, Rick, who plays my brother, to karate school for a day.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, we learned some moves. I learned nunchucks, and I mean, enough to at least portray the believability of Alice learning it. But no, I was swinging those things around for sure. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun, that part.
When your movie came out, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was like at its like peak in the 80s. You must have been feeling like Michelangelo.
I was definitely crowning myself. Yes, Michelangelo. I was like, yeah. So, but it's more like behind the scenes. It's like what you have to do to be that character. That could be the hard part, even just something as simple as like, a rinse on your hair every day. Believe me, that was very time consuming. And anyway.
Yeah, because in part 5, you're blonde again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to notice that. I was like looking at that going, wow, I never realized she was a redhead in 4. And then.
Yeah. Not only a redhead, I really put oil in my hair.
Oh.
And did everything. But that's fine because that was the role. That's what the role required. And I'm all into costume and whatever it is that the character needs to portray. I'm there.
If they, God only knows whatever they're doing with Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, the remake was such a abysmal film. Did you see the remake?
Yes, I did actually. I actually saw it at the Chinese Theater.
Oh.
Then I went to the premiere.
Are you in the, because you're in the Nightmare Club, did you get like a special invite?
I guess so. I guess I did. Anyway, yes, I walked the red carpet, but it was actually black because it's a horror film.
Yeah.
But quote, walked the red carpet, yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's just going to be hard to replace Robert Englund. It just really is. And Jackie Earle Haley, I'm a really big fan of his work. I mean, seriously. So it's not him. It's just that embedded in our head is the movement and style of Robert Englund. He's played Freddy for the whole duration. It's hard to shift to a new person doing the role. And it was interesting to me too that they didn't do more special effects. I mean, now, okay, look at 1988, the effects that were available then, what the effects are available now, but they really didn't take advantage of, this century's effects that you could have done. I did like the scene when it snowed in her room. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised they didn't do more of that kind of thing. So anyway. And it's kind of like they combined the Nancy and Alice character because Nancy was never a waitress in a restaurant. Okay. But Alice was. So the lead in the remake is kind of like a Nancy Alice because she's working in a restaurant in the uniform, Anyway, it was kind of bizarre.
Yeah. What I was going to ask is, would you, if they ever can figure out what the heck they're going to do with the franchise, because it's been 6 years now and we haven't seen anything or heard anything except for a bunch of false starts. If they decided, what we're going to do, we're going to listen to our fans and bring back characters that have been in other movies and, either as new characters or as their characters and just do a new Nightmare kind of thing all over again. Would you come back if they said, would you want to come back?
Yeah.
You might die, but would you like to come back?
Yeah, no, for sure. And, ideas have been tossed around forever. A lot of the cast, we're all really good friends, like Toy Newkirk and Tuesday and Brooke Dees, and we've been propositioned with a number of possibilities. It just, again, hasn't happened yet. You know, it would be great, before I'm in a wheelchair if it did, but I don't know. I don't know. Be great for Warner Brothers to take that upon themselves, actually.
I don't know.
They own Nightmare on Elm Street now.
Yeah, it's like Platinum Dunes, Warner Brothers, something like that. It's Michael Bay's production company too. I heard still owns the rights, and it's like, stop letting Michael Bay do horror movies. What's next? The Transformers going to wake up and Freddy's crawling around inside their heads, snipping wires left and right.
Oh my land.
Can't take it anymore. You said you do a lot of signings at conventions, like the tattoo thing. What's the weirdest thing someone has ever presented to you at a convention?
Gosh, the weirdest thing. I can't say there's anything that's been that weird, but I have to say recently, and I'd never seen this before, was someone brought you remember Nightmare 4 in the diner and the pizza with the meatball heads?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Someone is making this pizza that actually has animated meatballs on it. And it was so fantastic. It was cool. It was really cool. So I was thrilled to sign that. But I can't say anything weird. I mean, I haven't, who knows what'll happen next week. You never know. But it's more about just the posters from all over the world, Thailand and all over. I mean, almost every show, someone brings something to the table for me to sign that I've never even seen before from some other part of the world. So it still kind of blows my mind too, how much, Nightmare on Elm Street is a definite part of pulp culture in the world globally.
Does Alice have a action figure?
No.
What is up with that?
No, I know.
I mean, I would if out of the two films, because I mean she's in 5 and she does stuff, but I mean, let's face it, you want Alice with the getup she has at the end of part 4. That's the figure you want. I mean, you hate the hair, but that's the figure you want.
Yeah, no, I like the hair. I mean, then it's a ponytail, it's great. But no, that would be cool, like in the getup, and have like a separate little prop, little mini nunchucks.
Yeah, because that's the Alice you really remember,
Yeah, and like the little bracelet, that Debbie gives her with the spikes on it, and I mean, I think it could be potentially a fantastic action figure. Yes.
Where is this people? NECA, I think, is the company making all of the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th figures. I believe. I might be wrong, and someone can post that in the comments section below.
Okay.
NECA, where's this figure? Where is Alice? We've got a dozen Heather figures, and okay. I think that's it.
First thing tomorrow morning, I'm calling them.
You have the contact. You have the power. You're the dream master.
Well, I can run it by them, and we can see. It's kind of why I did the pin too, because it's kind of like, there's Freddie pins and there's Nancy pins, and then I went, you know what, I want a pin. I'm gonna make a pin. So.
Have your kids seen your movies?
Yes, but I didn't let them watch them till they were 13 years old.
Very good mother. Very good. Unlike my mother, who let me watch your film when I was 9 or 10.
Well, it's only because, I say fucking A, and, I really didn't want my kids to see their mother saying that. So I waited.
So if you have a con schedule that you can go over a little bit, that'd probably be a better idea.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about when this will air tonight, but when it's on YouTube, though, it might... the con dates will have already passed.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Well, okay, so for tonight's listeners, I am at Cherry Hill, New Jersey for Monster Mania, which is August 12th through the 14th. And then in September, I have Days of the Dead, which is in Louisville, Kentucky, and I have not been there in a very long time. And Heather Langenkamp will be there, and Amanda Wiss, and Brooke Thies. So it's a very heavy female-filled show, Days of the Dead in Louisville, and that is September 2nd through the 4th. And then in October, I'll be in Orlando for Spooky Empire. And that is October 7th through the 9th. And you can always go to lisaewilcox.com, and I post all the current shows that I have coming up. So I'm super excited because I also haven't been to Spooky Empire in probably like 5 years, maybe longer. So yeah, busy few months.
I wonder when they'll do a big Friday the 13th Part 4 reunion or something like that.
I think that's in the works for next year because it'll be the 30-year reunion.
Oh my God! Wow! Jeez.
So that'll be in the works next year. So I imagine 2018 there'll be quite a few reunion shows. Yeah.
That's great. That will be something really to look forward to. I didn't realize it had been like 30 years for that film.
You and me both.
But in the defense of the time that we are stating about how old the film is, compared to your Alice pictures from 4 and 5, you don't look like you have aged very much at all. So.
Well, thank you very much, sir. Good genes. Thanks, Mom and Dad. High five, Mom and Dad. Thank you.
Again, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on the show with us and talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and Bill and Ted's television series, which is a big favorite of mine, and everything else that you have coming up and going on as well. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.